Hi, Lee Slomp here from the AusIMM. Today we're sitting down with Reuben Joseph, Ausenco's President of APAC Africa. We wanted to find out a little more about Reuben's career journey, his role as a leader, and the importance he places on ongoing professional development. Welcome Reuben, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
Can you start by telling us a bit more about your professional background and how you landed in your current role at Ausenco?
Sure. I guess growing up I had a keen interest in STEM subjects, so studying engineering locally here at the University of Western Australia, graduated and joined a consultancy working as an electrical engineer. However, very early in my career, pretty much in that first year, I realised that project management and sort of that overarching delivery aspect was more of a passion. So left the consultancy and joined a client in a project engineering role. Site-based and had a couple of really good opportunities. Went over to the States to bring a process plant over to South Australia and did a lot of sort of site work there. And then following that, moved back into consulting, still in a project management role. I'm working on an iron ore project, and then after that did a bit of alumina, and then subsequently took a corporate role with the consultancy. Following that, moved then into the construction space, again still in project delivery and project management, so a couple of fairly large EPC style projects, following which went back to the client side, playing back in the lithium space, and then subsequent to that joined Ausenco, initially as the Vice President for Western Australia and Africa, and recently was appointed the President for APAC Africa.
As someone with a background in engineering and project delivery, how did you personally make that transition to leadership, and was it something you were always passionate about?
So people is something I've always been passionate about, Lee. So when we talk about project delivery and organisational leadership, I think they're very consistent when we talk about leadership, because at its core we're talking about people. On a project level, we bring a group of people together. We ensure that they know, their role. We build the team, and then that team works together to deliver an outcome. For example, a process plant. And we follow that journey through, and then we hand the project over and we do it again on the next project. At an organizational level, there's no, I guess, start and finish. However, we're still talking about people. We're still talking about bringing people into the business. We're talking about developing them, motivating them, creating a positive culture. It's all the same. And what I mean by that is it's at a project level, culture, the environment, how our people work together is critical. And at an organizational level, those same elements are very important. So I've always been passionate about people and that people development space. So for me, the transition wasn't daunting. It was, what do I know and I'm doing, and then bringing that into a project, into an organizational context.
As a leader, how do you go about creating a positive work environment built on trust, engagement, and loyalty?
At its core, I think it's communication. So, people that feel like they're communicated to, they understand what's happening around them, what the forward look ahead of both for them and the organization is. The core at creating that positive culture is communication. Now, touching on those elements that you've talked about. So trust, for me, trust, some people trust you and then you have to lose that trust. Others you have to build and earn that trust. But regardless of that, my approach to it is consistency, and it's about effectively doing what you say you will do. And then I guess, you talk about loyalty. Loyalty in our industry, it's an interesting topic. It's no secret that the resources sector is often under pressure from a resourcing perspective. So building that loyalty comes back down to the individual or group. They're happy where they are. They feel like they have a path, and they're not entertaining those approaches because they're content and they see a future. So it circles back to making sure they're communicated to, making sure that there's a mutual trust, and fundamentally it's also about having fun. Like I'm a firm believer that if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're enjoying the people you're working with, you're much less likely to leave. And I think that speaks to that organizational culture and environment that we've been able to create.
As someone who has multi-commodity experience, how important is it for professionals to keep advancing their knowledge and skills and be open to new opportunities?
Well, it's absolutely critical. I'm a firm believer that we never stop learning. You could be a graduate or you could be a subject matter expert. There's always something you can further develop and learn. So from a graduate perspective, we have a very good graduate program, and we call it a young professionals program because there's a graduate component and then a young engineer component. So, we really encourage both, site-based work, and really learning across different elements of the business, not just an engineering perspective, but project delivery, project controls, business development. So we believe it's very important for our young our graduates and our engineers to get that overarching development, and that carries all the way through. We're a firm believer of giving those wide variety of opportunities, and we strongly encourage our people to take that up. Now, as you can appreciate, development isn't necessarily just, going on a training course or going on getting a promotion and doing a different role. There's so many different elements to it, So we look at the individual and the groups, and we understand, okay, well, what does that individual need? And then what does the business need? And then we encourage them to take these opportunities. So yeah, look, absolutely critical, and we definitely encourage it.
You are particularly passionate about mentoring. What role has mentoring played in your own career development, both as a mentor and a mentee?
You're right, Lee. Mentoring is very, very near and dear to my heart. I was very fortunate. That first year out of engineering, I remember meeting one of my mentors who's a very good friend to this day. And he was the one that encouraged me. We started talking at one of these young engineer events, and he, I started talking about, the engineering space and, how I felt, looking at some of the project delivery aspects and, that bigger picture, how it was interesting. And he encouraged me. He said, look, there are opportunities out there. And that was part of the reason I sort of moved at a young age into project management. And since then, I've worked for him a couple of times, and he's got me a couple of different opportunities at different organizations. So, even when I haven't been working with him, I've bounced ideas off him and, caught up and just talked through, whether it's strategy or whether it's, what should I do next on this particular project or in terms of my career. Jumping across then to being a mentor. So, I regularly put my hand up to get involved in organizational mentoring programs, and I've been involved in a couple of the university undergrad and graduate mentoring programs as well. And look, I get a real kick out of it. For me, it's giving back what I got as a young engineer and young professional. So I enjoy sort of sharing my experiences, but again, listening to what the mentees, their approach on certain things. Like I'll give them, for example, real life examples of what's going on in my organization or in the industry and get their thoughts on, well, what do you think about this? How would you approach it? And you'd be surprised at how often you get a different opinion or a different take on it that you wouldn't necessarily have thought about.
How do you see working with AusIMM helping to continue to build your employees' technical capability and development?
Look, it's fairly obvious, I think, Lee. AusIMM, whether it's the short courses that you regularly put on, the industry events, the panel sort of sessions that you run, they all speak to development. And as being a partner with AusIMM, we see it really important to get involved. And we encourage, again, from all levels of the business. We have graduates who not just attend, the graduate events that you put on, but they attend Sundowners. They attend, some of the speaking events. So it's and then all the way through to our directors and sort of senior personnel get involved as well. So it's absolutely critical. Not only do we, I guess, get involved in those sessions, but it's that networking component that, we talk about mentoring, we talk about, development. Those conversations being held in an informal setting are absolutely beneficial to development as well. So look, we have been fairly heavily involved recently, and we look forward to an ongoing relationship with AusIMM to continue to develop our people.
Thank you, Reuben. It was fantastic talking to you, hearing more about your career and your insights on leadership, people, and the resources sector. Be sure to check out the website for all of the latest from AusIMM. Visit www.ausimm.com.